Number 4 on our pick six at 6, Joe Whitt talking about one of the guys who's played tremendous football the last couple of weeks, and a guy that he is very familiar with as he was in Dallas and has been with Dan Quinn, a couple of other spots as well. Here's Joe Whitt on Dante Fowler.
You know, I probably haven't highlighted him enough coming in here. He's a very physical player. Dante's always going to play on the edge. He's going to give you everything he has. But he has real juice to be able to get to the quarterback, move the quarterback. He's a guy that I don't necessarily have to pressure with when he's on the field. I know he's on the field. We could be more in a four-man. I don't have to bring 5 elements with him on the field because he has the ability to beat the tackle. So I've been pleased with Dante, the physicality and the way that he plays. He's a lot like Oos in that way that he's always going to run through people. And if I tell him to run through that wall, he's going to hit it hard. So.
That's what coaches want. Like, do what I tell you as hard as you possibly can. And Dante Fowler is the kind of guy that does that. I think there's a couple of other things to watch on the edge this week when it comes to the Commanders. First, Dorrance Armstrong looks like he's going to be back. I don't even remember seeing him on the injury report. So if Dorrance Armstrong is back, that is huge for this team because Dorrance was playing really, really good football before he got hurt, including the game he got hurt. He had a couple pressures, I think, in the first quarter and got hurt in the second, if I'm remembering correctly, a couple weeks back. And the Baltimore game changed after he went out. Like, he is their best defensive end, snap in, snap out. And he was starting to get a lot of pressure. So if they can get him back along with Fowler, that's great. That's 2 very good options on the edge, especially if Cleveland Ferrell is out, which he might be as he was a DMP today in practice. The other thing to watch, though, is Jordan McGee being back could potentially open up more lanes for Frankie Louvu to be out on the edge. And while, as Joe Whitt said, he would like to not have to bring extra blitzers and things with Fowler on the field, putting Fowler at one edge and Louvu at the other, which they have done at times this year, gives them more options to actually do that while bringing blitzes. Technically not blitzes, but simulated pressures. You may have heard that term, where you bring 4 players, but not the 4 you'd expect. And because Fowler's a little more at depth at dropping out, and Louvu is obviously more adept as a guy who plays off-ball linebacker at dropping out into zone coverages or even picking someone up man-to-man because they're so athletic, that allows a potential confusion and some free runners along the offensive line. You get the slide going one way, we bring pressure from the other, and you can get some business done. So I'm very excited to see what they continue to do as they adapt that position, as Joe Whitt continues to find things that he thinks that his guys can do well, and we will continue to monitor that moving forward. Of course, the big thing Joe wants is takeaways, and number 5 in our pick 6 at 6 is talking about just that. They got some last week. They got the pick 6 from Dante Fowler. They got the other interception. They've gotten a couple more general the last couple of weeks. What led to the breakthrough in generating turnovers per Joe Whitt Jr., who every single week at the podium has been begging for that to happen?
They caught the ball. I mean, Tay's play, to be honest with you, Tay had an interception in the same part of the field in practice. He didn't go score with it. And so we put it up there, hey, you're going to have opportunity on this call to go score. And it happened in the same area, and he scored with it. Forbes, man, it was just a really nice job of how he read that out. He read 2 going away with the coverage that we were in, was able to slide inside, and it sort of messed the receiver up because he read it so quickly. I think the receiver at the time just stopped on the route and Forbes when he got the play. So it was Jason Simmons and Tommy Donatello's just done a nice job of communicating how to pass routes and how to communicate it, and the players brought it to life.
I think that's really cool insight on Forbes, and it's kind of funny to hear the way Joe says it. He's like, the receiver kind of died on the route, and we blame receivers for that stuff because quarterbacks throw with anticipation, and I'm not saying receivers are ever right to just die on routes, but sometimes you die because you're dead. And he should have been dead on that route, and he wasn't, and Andy Dalton threw it, and Forbes is right there. Let us move on to number 6 in our pick 6 at 6, and let that be Joe Whitt Jr.'s thoughts, the bite that Anthony had started playing, which would now make more sense because I will set it up correctly. The Bears' offense has kind of evolved the last couple of weeks since first 2 weeks, a lot of struggle for Caleb Williams, throwing pretty high rate of incompletions, some turnovers, all kind of bad stuff. Last couple of weeks, he's diced some defenses. Some bad ones, but he's diced them. So what has he seen out of the rookie quarterback? Here's Joe Whitt.
Well, I think they've sort of changed what they've done, offensively from the first 2 games to now. And so, they're not necessarily running the same concepts that they ran early on that he had some issues with. So that's where he's improved that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, good offensive coordinating. Here's the things my quarterback is bad at. Stop doing them. Here's the things they're good at. Let's do those. And that's kind of what they've done. They found ways to run the football, deleverage him a little bit, gotten in some different things. So it's been definitely interesting to watch Shane Waldron figure it out. As for the challenges that the Bears offense presents, here's Joe Whitt Jr. on all that.
Well, every game you're going to have eligibles that are premium players, and they have a number of them. I think Moore is just a really good player that really hasn't got the credit over the years. He's a good catch and run guy. I've had just so many battles with 13. He just over the years when he was at the Chargers, man, 2015, he came to Green Bay and gave us a day, and so just a lot of respect for those eligibles. And so we have to just do a good job because the running backs running well. The screens, they run the screens as good as anybody in football, especially with Swift and Moore. So, we have to make sure that we do a great job of leveraging the screens. Screens play by 11 men. We have to set the edges inside out. If they get their bigs out to block our littles, our bigs got to come tackle their littles, And so we have to set the edge and be ready to go from that standpoint there.
They're a great screen team. And 13, by the way, Keenan Allen. That is a good football player, and he's the exact kind of route runner that makes me nervous. And there's a lot of stuff that I think Washington can do really well against the Chicago team. There's a lot of matchups from that goes in Washington's favor. The thing that scares the daylights out of me, if I am Joe Whitt and I am Dan Quinn, is they got better dudes on the outside than the dudes we got. The good news is Dan Quinn and Joe Whitt Jr. know that. They're aware of their talent deficiencies. However, it is hard to make up for it when you've got, not only DJ Moore and not only Keenan Allen, but Rome Odunze and Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift is a nightmare in space. So there is a ton to consider for Joe Whitt. A lot on his plate.
This is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.